All right, time for another little talk. I watched the Livewell last night, and rather than try to just get into a whole bunch of typing and debating on there, I just decided I would just make a note of some of the things that I took note of, and I would just talk about. There was a lot of, holy crap, I can't believe somebody said that. There was a lot of, what the hell's wrong with you, and where did you get that idea, and stuff like that. So I just thought I would address the ones that stuck out. And it was the show about this, that, and the other being overrated. So, first thing, somebody said finesse worms are overrated. No, they're not. There's a time and place for them. They have saved my ass more than once. One instance I remember, I threw a 12-inch worm at something, then I dropped down and got nothing. I threw a 6 or 7-inch worm at something, got nothing. Picked up my little finesse worm, threw it in there, and caught 2 over 6 pounds. There's a time and place for it, and it is not overrated. If anything, it might be underrated. But there's a time and place for them. One of the critical things I've learned about bass fishing and artificial bait is that, like in maybe one other area of life, size matters. All right, let's talk about, somebody said big bass were overrated. You know, anytime I've heard that over the last 40-something years, it's usually said by people that can't catch big bass. There are several things about big bass that make them harder to catch. One is there's a damn sight less of them than other bass. So first off, you got to find a place that's got them. Then you got to figure out where they live. Then you got to be proficient enough with any certain kind of lure, or figure out what kind of lure it's going to take to catch them. Then you actually got to catch them. You actually got to hook them, get them to bite, hook them, put them in the boat. And there's a lot of things can go wrong along the way there. Big bass didn't get that big by, being easy. All right. Somebody said Jacob Wheeler was overrated. And that was one of them where I said, what the hell are you talking about? The guy's 33 years old. When he was 21 years old, he won an FLW Cup, youngest angler I think to ever win it. He's won over $3 million already. He went over to MLF, and the thing where somebody saying he's overrated is so freaking outrageous is that when you listen to his peers, you listen to the guys he fishes against, they all have very high regard for him, and that's as high regard as you can get is from your peers. So some ding dong that pops off in a chat room or on a YouTube video saying he's irrelevant or overrated, I'm sorry, you're an idiot. Bass Pro Shops products. I used to sell boats for a living, and I sold against Bass Pro Shops and their boats. And one thing I learned is that I wouldn't buy any of their friggin' boats. Their aluminum boats I was very, very well acquainted with. The reason they're so cheap is that, first off, they use the cheapest materials they can get by with. The boats that we used to look at, when we worked on some of them, instead of using aluminum for their flooring and for their decks, they used plywood. Instead of using stainless steel screws to hold their decking and stuff down, they use just plain old galvanized. And a guy brought us a boat one time. He loved the boat, and it wound up costing him more to fix the boat, redo it, than it was worth. But all of these screws holding the flooring to the ribs in the bottom of the boat had galded themselves to the ribs. We had to actually tear the plywood out, because that wasn't too hard because it was all rotten anyway. But the guy that was doing the work had to take a die grinder and cut every one of them damn screws out and re-drill holes. And their consoles are made out of plastic rather than aluminum. They just use plastic or wood wherever they get away with it when they should be using aluminum. They'll package them with the smallest motor possible to get that attractive price. So based on what I saw back then, you could give me one of them, but I'd turn around and sell it. And I hadn't heard anything good about Nitro. Nitro had a bad name way back in the day, and then Bass Pro Shops bought them, and I still haven't heard a lot good about them. And then they bought Ranger, and I've heard a lot of bad stuff about Ranger now. Okay, somebody said Lake Allatoona was overrated. Who in the hell rated it high anyway? I mean, you can go catch a lot of fish on the lake, but my God, it's anything but a great fishery. It's a great fishery for a bunch of numbers. They're getting better. It's getting better. I've heard of a 10, a 9, a couple of 8s this year. So the work the DNR is doing is paying off, I think. The mileage is over it now. He knows his stuff. I've talked to him several times. He knows his stuff. Okay, let's see. Somebody said the whopper plopper was overrated. I used to think the whopper plopper was junk. I have since changed my mind. I have gotten very, 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 very fond of the plopper. It's a lot easier to use than a buzzbait. You can throw it farther. You don't have to worry about it sinking. You don't have to worry about it sinking when it hits the water and trying to wind it and get it back up on top real fast. You don't ever want to use it around wood. If you get it within a foot of wood, the wood will reach out and grab it. It's outrageous. And the worst place is when you're fishing around a place where there's been timber topped off right at the water level and you can't see it. Well, you'll never get a whopper plopper past it. It's going to hang in it. But open water, it's great. It worked for me out on Altoona last year so great, it was unbelievable. You can cover water with it so much faster than you can with something like a spook. And I dearly love a spook. But for some reason or other, last year the spook just wasn't working for me. I started throwing that little plopper, and good God, I think I did a count a while ago, and I caught just in about a dozen short trips up there, 2 hour, 3 hour trips in the morning. I caught close to 100 spots, and some of them, 2, 2.5, pushing 3 pounds. So yeah, I caught a hybrid that weighed almost 5 pounds and another that weighed almost 4. So yeah, I'm a fan of the plopper now. It will catch them. I've got a video of me catching a largemouth that weighed 6'4" on one. It has its place in my tackle box. It has earned my respect and a place in my box. And whereas I used to, in the spring, only have 3 topwater baits tied on, I'd have a buzz bait, a popper or a chug bug, and a spook. I now have a rod with a whopper plopper on it. And I've come up with this, I tried this rig the other day, 2 whopper ploppers on it. It's interesting. It's a pain in the ass to throw, but it's interesting. And I did catch a striper on it about the 4th time I threw it. Okay, somebody said Chickamauga was overrated. Whew. Well, man, if you looked at the Chickamauga Facebook page, they're catching the snot out of big bass out there. My brother-in-law went and fished it. First time he ever fished it. He caught one flipping that weighed over 12. And it's churning out big bass daily. So I've never been there, but when you see that kind of stuff coming out of it, I don't know if I call it overrated. Nighttime spinnerbaits. This wasn't an overrated thing, but somebody mentioned nighttime spinnerbaits, which is just not a thing. I mean, you can you think you got to have a black spinnerbait, which I never understood anyway at night, because bait fish don't change color. I don't give a damn if it's day, night, or whatever. The shad don't change color. So why do you want a black spinnerbait? And this little spinnerbait right here. This is a mini-me. This is the one I made. I got willows on this one. This one's got chartreuse. This one's got white. And this one's got Colorados. I'll take these things up there in the morning this time of year before daylight, and they'll catch the hell out of fish. I ain't got to have something with a big old, well, I don't even know what I did with it. I had it around here somewhere. And here it is. You don't have to have something like that. I mean, if you want to, fine, but just call it building a spinnerbait to be for specific use at night is ridiculous. It just ain't a thing. I mean, if they can find that little 1 ounce mini-me when it's pitch black, it's not that big a deal. They're just making a bigger deal out of it than it needs to be. So, whatever. And the other thing that amazes me the most is these guys that are 20, 25, 30 years old that seem to think they know every damn thing in the world there is to know about fishing. Bullshit. I've been fishing for damn near 50 years, and I don't know everything. I'm amazed. I go fishing some days, and I'm amazed how much I don't know. But these kids, they talk in such absolutes, like this is the way it is. There is no room for argument. There is no room for debate. I know everything, and this is how it is. It's got to be this way. You got to do this. Nothing else will work. Well, and I hate to say this, but 40 years ago, that was me. I was an arrogant little prick, thought I knew everything. Well, I look back now and I go, God, you were stupid. And you still ain't the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I know a damn sight more than I did then. So I just, these young guys that, you know, and you can't really talk to them, because, I mean, they act like they listen, but they're not listening because they think they're right. They think they know everything. Well, they're going to find out they don't. And a lot of these guys that are wild about fishing now and just eat, sleep, and breathe it, 5, 6, 10 years from now, they won't even be fishing. Some of these younger guys, they'll mess around and knock their little girlfriend up. Well, they'll get married. If they got a boat, they'll have to sell it. Or they'll get married and get divorced and have to sell their boat and have to sell everything. Or they'll lose their job and have, you know. You better make a buttload of money if you're going to try to run a $80,000 boat and put, you know, and keep it up. Because once your warranty's out on a boat like that, I used to run a service shop at a boat dealership. Good God, boat repairs ain't cheap. So if it blows up and you ain't got a warranty, woo-wee, you're in for it. But like I say, half of these guys now that are fishing, and you just every day they're going to the lake. A few years from now, half of them ain't gonna be there. I've seen it too many times. I've watched these guys. It's just a cycle, you know. Fresh crop comes in every few years, you know. A bunch of them fade away. Like I say, life happens. Life gets in the way. So it is what it is. But anyway, that's my response to some of the things that were said last night. You know, if you don't like it, well, I don't care. That's just how it is. I'm just telling you like it is. Anyway, peace.